Good evening, everyone. Today we are going to discuss on a pharma case study. Before we start going through the PPT, let us have a few broad understanding of pharma industry. Now, if any of if you want to advise a client or someone that come and set up a pharma company or a pharma business, or you yourself want to enter into pharma business, what few things will you advise? Or what will be the consideration? What will be consideration to start any pharma business? What do you think would be? If someone want to start anything from scratch, want to start a company in pharma sector, what would be the few things you will see? The first important thing you will go with license. So you need to get a license. A license is mandatory from the health department, government officials. So once you get the license, then what are the few steps? So I got the license. Then what should I need to have further? Any views? What all should get? Then I need to get a capital. I need to have expensive, huge outlay of capital. I need huge outlay of capital because I need to have investments in fixed assets. I need to have investments in intangibles. You need to buy land, building, machines, sophisticated machines. And when we are talking of pharma, is it a highly regulated industry, highly sensitive, or we are okay with any small here and there tweaks in non-compliance? It is highly regulated. You cannot have any no, it cannot be sab chalta attitude. You have to be thorough with the rules and regulations because life is dependent on the product. Even 1 inch of the dirt soil gets into the system, it damages the entire batch production. So we need to ensure that we have proper system, we have the sophisticated machines, technology is very good across the globe. We find the best systems. So you have the money to invest also. Now, what is the very key part, which is a very key ingredient in this business? Without this, your approval, your capital is of no value. The most important is your research and development in this. If you have patent products, then only your business will sustain. Now, why patent is very, very important? So you will get money in generic medicines, or you will get a good margin in generic medicines, or you will get good margin in branded big banner medicines. Where do you think a dealer will a businessman will earn more, in a generic medicines or a branded? And to get a branded, I need to have research and development, and that is the reason companies spends millions on research. Now let's say I'm starting recently. I have little bit money to buy capital assets, very little for research. And does my research guarantees me that it will be a success? Does your research grants you it will be success? Answer is no. So my research may also fail. So if I don't have the money to burn in research? Because research is no guarantee that you will make money or not. So what to do? Acquire. So I can go for acquiring, or we can go for a CDMO business, contract drug manufacturing organizations. So there are organizations who will do a deep research on certain topics, certain pharma's concepts, and then they will do white labeling. You give them your brand name, they will work for your brand name, and they will give you. Apart from them, who funds for these research? Apart from the businessmen, who will fund for these research? So the first is the government. The government always funds this research. The government puts money in the research. Based on the government funding, you get a research. Many universities fund the research. If you recall, some time back, like all the universities of Harvard, Oxford, and many other universities, they get government grants. So government grant allots some grants to various universities for doing the research. Based on the government grants, these universities further allot to their PhD students that this is the money you can spend on research. Now, at one point of time, Trump threatened the universities that if you do not follow my tone, I will not give you grants. We will stop funding. So there was a commitment for grant that the government was supposed to give 10 years grant for one health project, and the US government stopped. Then they went to international court that you cannot threaten us that if you do not say in my favor, we will not give you grants. That's not the business it works in. So the grant comes from mostly government, then it comes from NGOs, then it comes from various trusts, and then at times many corporates announces CSR that okay, we'll fund this vaccine, we'll fund this project just for their CSR purpose. Many big companies like Pfizer, Sun Pharma, Cipla, Lupin, they also have a grant. But then that becomes an in-house grant or it becomes a sponsored grant. Because then they give grant to people for successful, and if it gets successful, then it goes into the company's kitty. Now, what is the relevance of patent in pharma industry? What's the relevance of patent in a pharma industry? Or how does patent helps a company? How does patent helps a company generally? It protects you that nobody else can can manufacture that product which you are selling. It improves the quality of the product. It gives a signal. It gives a signal that this product is specific. If you have a brand name, if you have a patent, it gives a validation from the regulator. So normally patent depends on various years. Can we have a lifetime patent, lifelong patent? So we can't have a lifelong patent. We can't, because why patent was given? Patent was given so that to honor or to capitalize the benefits for the researcher initially. So let's say when mosquito started having this disease, malaria, to people, somebody would have find out how to cure it. He should get the benefit of, if he wants, he should get the benefit of capitalizing it. So let him patent this product. Only he can sell with that product and he can make the proceeds. But this capitalization cannot go on lifelong. You need to give it for a limited period. So initially patents are given for 10 years, 10, 20, depending on the kind of research has gone into this. Once you give for this years, after that you can again apply for patent if you can add some value addition in the patents, that can be done. Now we'll see a balance sheet of a pharma company. and then we understand more on this. But before I start on business, what is the broad standing of India as of today? As of today, India is the third largest producer of medicines in volume worldwide. If we take entire world population, how much medicine is produced by India, we are the number third in volume. And when it comes to value, it is in we are the 14th one in the value terms. Now, average our India pharma market is considered to be a $50 billion market. That's what March 25 numbers are published. What is expected by 2030? Where should we reach? By 2030, it is expected that we'll be going by 130 billion market. When you say why this gap, which gap? Oh, yeah, that's gap because of generic medicine. Correct, correct. Because though we are third and largest in volume, but 14th by value, because we produce 20% of the entire world, 20% of the generic medicines comes from us. So we are the largest supplier, one of the largest supplier of generic medicine. Take example of countries like Africa and all, we produce a lot of generic medicines because countries or the developing countries or underdeveloped countries in the world cannot afford branded medicines. So we develop them. That's why our majority contribution goes to generic. Now, any idea how much time it takes to to get a medicine approved by the regulators so that it can go into the patient's mouth consumption. Let's say I did a research today, and we researched on a formula today and we said, okay, this formula is fine. How much time do you think it takes to do the clinical trials and get it approval by the regulators that yes, now this medicine can be consumed by the patients? It takes generally 10 years, generally. And COVID was an exception. COVID was an exception where it was done in 6 months because that was an accelerated testing done. In a normal scenario, it takes 7 to 10 years. Why it takes 7 to 10 years generally? So if I made a medicine today, first we will apply on whom? Where do you think first we will apply? We'll apply first on humans. We'll apply first always on animals. So we'll first apply on rats, rabbits, monkey, chimpanzee. These are the first clinical trials is done because to see do they have any side effects or not. Now, so first when we explore on them, so it takes 6 months to 1 year to get a confirmation that it did not harm to any animals. It will not take much impact. Then we start with 10 to 30 healthy humans. So once we have given go ahead that okay, it is having no side effects on animals, it is safe to start experimenting on them. Then the research starts happening on 10 to 30 healthy humans. And once we conclude, then the subset increases. Then we start with 50 to 100, 300 to 500. Then we take a sample of 1,000. Because remember, once approved, I will start producing in leaps and bounds. I'll start producing in a huge quantity. And then we'll start distributing. If my sample testing is wrong, and maybe let's say for example, I tried and tested my medicine only in people living in north part of the India. Because of their metabolism or because of their eating habits, this medicine do not show the reaction on that. But let's say if I put into northeast part of our country, where they have a different eating habits, they have different metabolism, then this medicine might have an impact. So then it takes a long time. So it goes a lot of regression analysis, a lot of clinical trials, and 7 to 10 years is the time period to get a approval done. And that's why it is very, very expensive affair. It takes a lot of time. I'll take something apart from medicines, which we have encountered. Take example of you. Have you seen that earlier? Earlier, the tomatoes used to come only round tomatoes. Now you would have seen oval shaped tomatoes, or earlier you would have seen the watermelon used to come big round. Nowadays you would have seen watermelons are coming in a cylindrical or small shape. Have you noticed this kind of development? Now, is this nature, or it's a human intervention by uh, tinkering with the genetics? What do you think? It is the scientists who have done tinkering on the genetics. They are trying and researching. I've seen two cases in biotechs. They have taken 8 years, 8 years only to 8 years only to just change the size and the color of the tomatoes and the watermelon. So these are take long time. So nobody can guarantee whether it will be actually right or not. So so that's why even in a genetics, like it takes 7 8 years. So imagine when we are talking of a medicine which can have impact on health of a person, it will take long time. I'll first take you to the balance sheet of one of the pharma companies. Now, in a pharma company, how much intangibles, what is the proportion of intangibles you think you should be seeing in the investments in a gross block you should see in the pharma medicines balance sheet as compared to property, plant, equipment generally? Any quick thoughts? 50-50. Okay. So let us see this balance sheet. This balance sheet belongs to Sun Pharma. Okay. Now, is this size sufficient enough for you, or you want me to increase the visibility? Just a second. Just give it. Okay. Just Sanjay, does this works better? Okay. Now, if you see 43, this is in millions. Okay. So we are seeing 434 crores, sorry, 4,345 crores. Is it just, it's a millions? So it is, yeah, 4,345 crores you could see in PPE, and 2,522 crores you could see in intangibles. If you see the net numbers, it may look 75-25. If you see the net numbers, what is your view on the gross block? Will the gross block will be almost equal? So let us look into the gross block. But before we come to the gross block, now in a pharma company, the valuation happens when a valuation happens. This is the first thing the valuation happens on. What is your intangible assets? How many patents you have? That's one. After that, what is the biggest things need to be seen? Intangible assets under development. What is the relevance of this number? Intangible assets under development. What is the relevance of this number? Now, this number will tell in future how much sales potential you can see. If this number is substantive, this number is big, that means it's a good sign for the company. But if the number is low as compared to industry, exactly like WIP, but if the number is low as compared to the industry, what does it suggest? Then there are other players who may go faster than my leap. Because if I'm see see you cannot create a patent, develop a patent, and then sleep and then say, look, I got a patent registered, now my job is done. This journey, this business runs on continuous development. So you cannot, if you stop getting registration, any new patent, stop investing in research, then somebody else will take your company over and you'll be sitting in the back seat. Now, when do you think we put intangible assets under development? When we start doing any research, then, or when do we put, as per Ind AS 38? When do we put intangibles under development? When? Let's say research was the development term. So, Abhirami, what should I do with the research part? What should I do with the research part? Future benefit is probable, then maybe. So I'm doing a research, and if the research gets successful, then I may get a future benefit. Maybe. What should I do with that research? But my research has not concluded yet. Research has not gone into the stage of development. Okay. So let's say take example of COVID. I am developing a vaccine for COVID, and I'm doing a research on that because it's the first time happened in last 100 years. We had no legacy data available, so we are trying to do something on this. We are doing researching. So till 31st of March, I expense 10 crore rupees on that. 10 crore rupees I expense till 31st of March, and I am still in a research phase. So I'll put this on P&L. So we all agree? As per Ind AS 38, we'll put into the P&L 38. Now on, no. So Abhirami, what do you think you should do? What do you think we should do? Because on 31st March, I am just doing a research. I'm doing a clinical trials. I'm doing a research, but this research has not been concluded. We are not sure whether this research will be actually concluded or this may actually be a successful medicine. So the 10 crore rupees which I spend on doing this research till 31st March, shall I put into intangibles under development, WIP? Yes, no, maybe. What's your view, Abhirami?
So, according that I suggest that this should be capitalized if the following conditions are met, or if the technical aspects are met till the period it is met. For till that period, it should be capitalized. And all the test for the development is met and all the process is complete, after that it shall be expense, or even if the tests are not satisfied alone, it can be expense to P&L.
This is your picking from which section, which part?
So,
Sorry. See, what does Ind AS 38 says? Does it says that if it's a research phase, check the technical capability?
so for research phase, Ind AS 38 says that no intangible asset arising from the research should be recognized. It should be recognized as an expense when it is incurred. But with respect to development, it should
So
demonstrate.
but we are still here at research stage, right?
Okay,
As
yeah.
of now, my query was till 31st of March, we are trying to research on a COVID vaccine, whether we will be able to succeed or not. So we are just doing a research. And I expense 10 crore rupees on that, right? So
Okay.
do we agree now that now it should not come into balance sheet? I need to expense it off for 31st March, year end is over, and I need to publish my results. So you're with me principally that we should charge to P&L this 10 crore rupees because it is still a research, not a development. Agree?
So 10 crore, I will say that if it is incurred in that year, it should be expense to P&L, charge to P&L.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll say systematic basis or recorded how much it is incurred for that period. Systematic basis is
No, no, there will be no systematic basis. Why there will be no systematic basis? Systematic basis goes when you carry forward for more than 1 year. Okay.
okay.
But here it is to be expensed the same year. Okay. Now let's say till 31st March, we agree, auditors agree that it should be expensed as per Ind AS 38. So
Yeah.
we expense in the P&L. Okay. Till 31st March, we expense in the P&L. Now on 30th of April, on 30th of April, I got a eureka moment, and the research got a final approval that yes, it is a perfect research. My research gets approved. The regulators, the government, they give me a green signal that yes, your research is fine. You can start now developing the product and selling it. So I get a go ahead now. Now the 10 crore rupees which I incurred, put into P&L last year, can I recoup that and take it back from P&L and charge and capitalize that in next year? Possible? Can I create asset back which has been already debited to P&L? So that cannot be done.
No, it can't be done.
It can't be done. Even if your research has been successful next year, even if the significant amount has been spent on making the research, but the law will not allow you to take it back. You need to charge to P&L, then it cannot be recouped again. Now, when I have intangibles under development, after that we need to satisfy that do we still have the capability and the intent to develop that? If yes, then only we carry it into the balance sheet. Now, if you are confused, if I am confused whether I'm not sure whether the research is completed or not, I'm confused it is falling under research or may fall under development, then what should we do? Where there is a gray area that even the scientists, the biotechnicians are not able to call whether it can be research or development. When it's a gray area, then standard clearly says then you need to charge to P&L. Then you don't,
Correct.
you can't take a benefit of doubt and say let us try to
Correct.
put into the capitalization. It will go to that. Now, if you just see the P&L where we have here the assets we have and the assets we have it 25 this much here and this much here. Now we'll see the gross block. Okay. And any idea what would be the sales of Sun Pharma in 25? Approximately the pharma company. So Sun Pharma is the biggest pharma company in India. Any idea what would be the sales approximately? Any approximation you can think of? Sales is 20 crore. The data is in millions. This data is in millions. And if you think I would have put 4,000 crore capex, then where should I go? My capex is 4,000 crore, at least. At least the visible PP 4,000 crore, 2,520 crore the intangibles. My sale goes to, just a second. What's the sales you see? 23,372 crores. So 23,000 crores is my sales. 23,000 crores is my sales. And then expense is 18,000 crores. So I make 5,000 crore profit. It's a profit we make it. So this is broadly on the revenue part, and just to see how big the pharma industry is. Now, just to take you on the PPE side, just to give you an idea that how how intangibles are very expensive in this industry. Just now you see there if you see their deemed cost, what is the total gross cost? So total gross cost is 8,227 crores. That's a that's a total expenditure or done in the fixed assets. Or you can take 8,788 crores as on March 25. That's the overall capex they would have done it in a physical PPE. Now, if you see how much they would have done in in intangibles. Now, if you see the patents, the number was 8,000 crores. Similar the number if you see here, and here I'm not taking software and I'm not taking a goodwill and all, which is very minuscule. Just take that number, 8,937 crores. More than it is more than the number of capex I did. So it is almost equivalent to whatever physical capex you're putting, that much intangibles you have seen. Now, why we see less number on the balance sheet? First, because of higher rate of depreciation. In intangibles, we charge 25% in a generally in a depreciation, which is higher as compared to fixed assets, where you charge 10 to 15%. That's why this is a difference for lower number of seeing in the balance sheet. But in terms of capital outlay, almost the same number you put in. So it is very, very expensive of pharma companies. And just what they're just going to note. No. And then if you see whatever now, okay. Now they also do intangible assets under development. So last year, whatever intangible assets under development would have been there, then they take it forward. They do some additions, they do some capitalizations, which is successful, and then they do impairment testing. Now, is impairment testing mandatory every year for intangible assets under development, or only on when the external indicators exist? Under Ind AS 36, when is the only when indicators exist? Anybody has a different view?
Sir, but for goodwill, India is 36 says goodwill shall not be depreciated, but it should be tested for impairment annually, including goodwill arising out of business combination.
So mandatory goodwill need to be done every year,
Yes.
even the indicator exists or do not exist. Correct?
Yeah.
Is it only goodwill, or there are two more such assets mentioned in the Ind AS 36 that they need to be tested for impairment every year, even if indicators do not exist? There are two more assets like this.
I think there are two more assets also apart from goodwill. One is brand and intangible assets acquired under acquisition, business combination.
No, no. You're almost there. Two assets are when you have an intangible asset for indefinite life. So let's say I have a brand. You purchased a brand. So does brand have a definite life? Or
Brand.
what do you think? Brand. Let's say you bought McDonald's brand. Does brands have a definite life or indefinite? So theoretically, they have indefinite life.
Yeah.
They will only run as long as your product is running. The brand will run. Once the product gets that. So
yeah.
Those assets which do not have a definite life, we need to go for impairment testing mandatory every year. The third asset which needs to be done, that is any intangible assets under development. So if we have any such assets like this, they need to go for impairment assess mandatory. You have no choice. Every year you need to go for that. We'll just read note number 52, 55, and then we'll just touch base. So this impairment testing becomes mandatory when you are an auditor of such companies. You need to see what impairment testing has been done, and this is a very difficult part for the management to get this done. See, what does they inform? Just a second. Let me show you two things. Now, what they're saying that we acquired intangible assets under development, and that we charge under impairment. So when you acquire something and when you does not see it as not having any development, then we can always put into charge. Just a second. Okay. Now you tell me, I make money by selling medicines in India more, or I make money by selling medicines in abroad more? Where do you think I'll make more money? Always by selling abroad. Always. That's where I'll make the maximum money. Now, to sell a medicine in US, do I need to take Trump permission or I need to take US FDA approval? I need to take FDA approval. US FDA approval I need to take. Now, yeah, I'll come to that part also. Both actually, I'll also come to that part because now what is happening in medicine, that also we need to understand. Now, this FDA is very, very critical. Do you think they come to India and see my facility, or they will just approve it by seeing the papers? Application file. They come India, they come and see your facilities. I'll give you example. See what they have come. They come here and they find. Just let me increase it a little bit. They come here and they find something on not right in the facility, so they issued an import alert. So what they say? FDA came to Sun Pharma facilities, and no, they are even coming after you are actually successful. Even after that, they come. They visited your place, and then they say whether you meet the requirements. If not, then they will issue a warning letter. In this warning letter, they give you a indications that okay, we want you to do this. If you get things done, then you need to have it. Anybody ever visited a plant which is a pharma manufacturing plant, any medicine manufacturing plant? Anybody get a chance to visit any such plant ever? If you ever get a chance to visit, if you get any industrial training by institute or anywhere, any stock audit, you get a chance, mandatory visit this plant. The kind of hygiene you will see, like, so you would have seen when you go, you need to wear a polythene on your head to cover your it's a head. You need to have head scarves. You need to wear the plastic caps. You need to have, if you first time I saw a machine where you go there is a box. You put a shoes in your box. You put your leg in the box. Immediately, a polythene will come and the polythene will wrap your entire leg part. Similarly, you put another shoes, another leg, it will cover entire. So you don't need to open your shoes, but your shoes will be wrapped in entire plastics and polythene. So you don't get dirt in the system. And then you need to put your they put some chemicals on you, they put some foam on you so that no virus and something goes with you. So they do a lot of thorough research, thorough checks on this. And if they are not happy, if they see a little bit dust, even one particle of dust they will see anywhere in the system, they will issue a warning letter. So like they issued a warning letter, and then this is a very serious impact. Similarly, they also said that they also raided in one of the factories of Renbaxi, and they find that there is some issue. So they also issued a warning letter. Now, what is the significance of this warning letter? Why it is so relevant? One notice, my entire exports will be entire exports will be stopped. Now, let's say US FDA has stopped, they put a sanction on my exports. Do you think other countries like Europe, Canada, UK would like to take my medicines? Or they will also like to play safe and say if somebody has banned you, then something problem with you. They would not like to know whether they are wrong or something wrong. They will immediately believe on that sanction, and my entire business goes for a toss. There was one company in India which was only one of the six companies in the world. There is one medicine which is so complicated to make that there are or their molecules or their salt is so difficult that only limited people can make in this world. So there are only six companies in the world, only six companies. One is in Vapi. That one company is in Vapi, and the other five are other parts of the world. The US FDA department came there and they saw some dust or something which is not there. Water was flowing in open or some things. They gave a warning letter. This company used to export in 80 countries. Entire 80 countries exports got stuck. Just US have given a warning letter. Other countries blindly follow that letter. So this needs to be taken very care. Forget what you do. So like when US FDA comes, they will go with all norms. So you need to follow the hygiene norms, medical norms, and all. Then you need to follow the norms of ethical practices, sustainability. Like, can I employ child laborers because I might get them at a very cheap cost? Answer is no. You are prohibited to employ child labor because that's a law of India. You cannot do that. So you have not done a child labor, you have not employed a child labor, and you have strictly made a policy that child labor is not be there. But then suddenly a US FDA comes to visit your premises, and you have written on your board clearly no child labor would be there, and in your premises there is no child labor working. But suddenly during the lunch time or tea time, your next door neighbor who supplies tea vendor, he sends his child to supply tea to the laborers. Will that consider non-compliance or it is a compliant FDA? Is not my job. Is the child labor which is coming from a tea vendor is not my employee. It is the tea vendor's problem, not mine. Entire license of one company got cancelled only because of this reason. And his argument was, this is not I did. It is my vendors. And then they say, and they said that it is your responsibility to ensure that you also deal with standard people. You also deal with people who are compliant, ethical. You cannot just say, that I will not deal with, I will deal with anyone. So that part we need to keep in mind. And that's why it is very difficult to understand this part, how difficult it is. I'll just take one part in this balance sheet, then we come. Just now see what is their policy on research and development. The research expenditure research undertaken with the prospect of gaining new knowledge are are understanding are recognized as and when expenses incurred. Now see the key difference between expenditure research and development. Something which is in research stage, why do we do research? To gain something new. I don't do research for you do development on research thing. You don't do research on developed thing. Research is something new coming up. That's a research. So any expenditure, correct, proof of concept level, anything which you are doing new will be always expend as incurred. But once it is into development stage, you all need to have it to be capitalized. And when you are internally generating intangible assets, then you need to ensure all these things can be ensured. Development cost, product cost, this. Just a second. How if they've given the patent? So this is broadly on. This is broadly on on balance sheets of Sun Pharma, and I'll see. Just I'll to let me see if I can show you how the market also reacts. Just give me a minute. If you see, the Sun Pharma is the these are these are one of the few listed companies. Sun Pharma Industries, Divi's Lab, Torrent Pharma, Cipla, Reddy's, Lupin, Zydus. These are the pharma companies. Now, see what is the market cap. What's the market cap? 3,91,440 crores. 3 lakh, almost 4 lakh crore is the market cap. See, if you see by far, it is the next competitor is not even half of it. That's the kind of that's the kind of market cap it has because of the patents it has, because of the research it has, the kind of value it has. Enterprise value is this, and price to book value comparable companies is this. EV and EBITDA is 20. Now, so when we do valuations, we always look into the market caps. Then then we need to look into the comparables of companies. So if I need to select, if you need to select a range of exclusions, so out of these samples, 7 samples, if you need to exclude samples, which sample would you exclude from doing a market multiples? If I need to compute some samples, I need to take sample. If I take average of all, it may give me absurd return. So instead of taking average of all, when we do a valuation, we take certain exclusions. We consider them outliers. So outliers is when entire industry is trading at 14, 10, 14, and 20, is 42 looks reasonable or 42 looks outlier from a general market understanding? It looks outlier. So I cannot say my EBITDA should be also 42. This will give me a wrong number. So this is the industry sector. How it works, we need to always see. The more and more pharma news announcements comes, the more and more, 34 is also outlier. So we will take only from 20, 14, 11, that would be there. So whenever we research on any pharma company, we need to always look into the announcements they are making. If they're always putting any announcement that are you doing any research, then it becomes that way. Why it cannot be? How do you determine EV? Why it cannot be EV or EBITDA? No, it can be. It can be. Okay. Now I'll explain. Explain this P multiple and EBITDA later, just shortly. Now let us go to the presentation. I will take a break at uh, EBITDA is always considered before deducting depreciation. You add back in a normally we EV is does EV will what is EV in a layman terms? What is EV? When you say EV, what do you mean by EV in a layman term? Is it equity value or enterprise value? It is
Uh,
enterprise value.
EV
Yeah,
will be enterprise value, and enterprise value will be calculated using EV by EBITDA using the EBITDA multiple. I'm getting that enterprise value. Suppose if I want to arrive the equity value, I need to take the enterprise value minus the value of debt and add the cash and cash equivalents, so I get the equity value.
correct, correct. So enterprise value includes of both equity
Yeah,
and debt,
yeah,
both. Okay. Now let's say I want to calculate the enterprise value of any organization. I will get debt from the balance sheet. Equity value, can I take number of shares in the market into per share value?
yeah. If it is a listed company, so I will take it directly from the market because I get the observable price as per
Correct, correct,
level one input.
correct. That can be done. That can be always done. And that way, and we will always reduce cash because we'll assume cash will be paid off to pay the debts.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's why when we compute enterprise value, we take equity share market value, debt value, and reduce the cash to get a equity enterprise value. Now let us understand or shall we take a 10 minutes break now and then or 5 minutes break, 7 minutes break now and then start the case study. So we'll resume at 19:30, 7:30, and then we'll start. This is a case of a Suraj Pharma, which is a global leader in pharma industry. This was funded by Dr. Srinivasan, established in 1960, but became a global leader in pharmaceuticals and and impact of decision making. When you say impact on decision making in terms of buying the shares or not, is that they want to invest or not? Okay. So when you say P ratio, what does P means in a when you say PE, what does it means in a PE? Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Okay. So in a layman terms, what is price earning ratio? That I will give you rupee one. If I give you rupee one, for earning rupee one, how much I need to buy this stock for? So someone which is a high multiple means I am. If someone says my multiple is 40, so that means to to earn rupee one, I need to pay 40 times. So that's a price earning ratio. Now EV by EBITDA is how much my cash flows occurs in a year and what is my value average. So when you compute EV, let's say your EV is 100 crores and your EBITDA is 20 crores. So it comes at 5 times of your EBITDA. Your multiple is 5 multiples. So you take that multiple as a benchmark and then start taking a decision to invest or not to invest. Now there is no theory or there is no proven data where we can say that high PE is good or low PE is bad. It depends on the nature of the industry. It depends on the place the industry is matured. If the industry is young, then higher PE can always work. If the industry is already matured, then lower PE can work. And so this moves depending on the on the how market is willing to pay. It is also based on the demand and supply, and how markets see this sector that way. So there is no benchmark we use in EV EBITDA. We use the multiples. When you say multiples means we use the average industry benchmark. So we see industry as a overall going under which range, where we take from there. So the example which we see was of the screener was where we were seeing industry majority company was coming in 10, 11, 14. And then we see Sun Pharma at 20. But then we see two companies at 64, 42, 34, then these are outliers. Then we don't consider them in our benchmark. Then we don't take into the sample that way. And just remember, nowadays there is one challenge in EBITDA. EV on EBITDA is always better. That will actually tell you how much money you are actually going to make. P's is market driven. There is one more challenge in EBITDA. What is the challenge in EBITDA now? Earlier, the rents used to go where? The rent expenses used to classify under which head? Where do you think it will go? Earlier, before Ind AS 116, it will straight away go under P&L. Now, now how does rent goes now for a listed company which follows Ind AS? So this has a positive impact on my EBITDA or negative impact on my EBITDA. So it has a my EBITDA increases or my EBITDA decreases because of this. So it inflates my EBITDA. It increases my EBITDA because earlier the rent which was charging in expense, now I will charge under depreciation and interest expense. So I need to add them back. Now you are getting the difference, understanding the nuances. What is the problem with Ind AS without Ind AS comparisons? That becomes a huge challenge.
Sir,
Please.
so you when discussing that Sun Pharma's balance sheet, you asked one question like the medicines were in the research stage, and in 30th April it was approved by the management, and regulatory approvals were there, and the medicines can be developed. So as an auditor, I need to check with respect to the amendments approved balance sheet, and how the fine management has responded to the amendments in the balance sheet. And as an auditor, I need to perform procedures with respect to amendment as well, right, sir?
Correct. As an auditor, you need to always look into the process. But the point which we were discussing was that as on 31st March, if something was into research phase, then we
Okay.
need to write it off, put into the P&L. But in April next month, my research got approved. The test which I'm doing got successful. Then can I take an impact of events occurring up the balance sheet and give a capitalization impact?
No.
That we cannot do because as on 31st March, the research had not shown sign of completeness, success. So we will not take it.
Hmm.
So so that's why we do not consider any development happening positive after a balance sheet because that was not there at the end of the day. So that's why we will not re-look into charging off. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So this company born in 1960s but become a global leader. Initially, when they started, his vision was to make an affordable medicine. He wants to make he wants to make a medicine which is anyone can afford because they doesn't want any they doesn't want it would be very expensive that the poor people cannot afford it. So he wanted to make a affordable medicine. So he started with a small research lab, and then he started making alternatives to expensive branded drugs, generic drugs. He wanted to make uh, this. Do you have any idea? Any idea at times how much discount these pharma companies give to the stockist on the branded? We are talking of branded companies. Up to how much discount on the MRP they can give? Approximately. How much do you think they can give to the highest stage? How much percentage you think they can give? 10% discount. Okay. They can go up to 95%. They can go not on all medicines. 30% discount is a normal discount from a pharma company to the wholesale drug supplier. That's it. 30 is normal. In a specific medicines, 70-80% is easily doable. And that's why there is a great range of profitability comes in that. And that's why if you see how did the apps like Farm Easy, 1mg uh, are flourishing? These are all online medical apps they started. So what they do, they pool. So they will go to the supply and say, okay, we need 1 lakh medicines of this particular brand. Cipla then will give them a substantial discount. So they are taking a bulk product at same time. And this bulk product, what I will do, I'll distribute to all my vendors which are across the India. So for every for me to sell 1 lakh would be very difficult. But if I have 1,000 shops who are associated with me on my app, will it be easy for them to sell? Much easy. And that's why you see in a pharma, this apps how they're working. You order a medicine today. Do you get in 7 days time, or it comes like in a blanket 10 minutes? It can come same day, evening. That's why it works in, because in a pharma, the speed and the location, it matters a lot. So this is where the power of uh, power of network comes in. He wanted to grow more on generic market, but the challenge with any businessman is a limited funding, because if you don't do proper experiments, you don't get enough money. But then he became a global player by having a thorough research. He had a breakthrough in research and development, and they started manufacturing. He built an innovation, new medicines got developed, he got patents. And once you got a patent, funding comes across the globe. Unfortunately, in India, we don't get much fundings on research, unfortunately. But if you go to Canada, ask anybody would be in Canada or New Zealand or Denmark, you just open a company with a scientific research object clause and say, I want to do a research on anything on medical project. The kind of fundings you will get it, the kind of fundings you will get it. I know few people who are getting a lot of fundings across the various countries, and the reason they are getting is, and the reason they are getting the research funding is, so they are making app of, let's say, AI generated app. So what they are saying is, we'll make an app through with the help of AI, where you put your pictures of your x-rays of your any prescription, something x-ray and body thing, and they will give you a better diagnostic like any other radiologist. Now imagine if this kind of things happens, what they are trying to say, they are saying we are not going to replace doctors ever. We are not saying that come to us and forget doctors. Then what they are trying to say? Any idea what these companies are trying to help and develop, and for which they are getting huge funding? And they are again saying, we are not radiologists. You need to consult a doctor. Faster diagnosis. That is the biggest thing. They say where your radiologist will take 1 day, 2 days to give analysis, we will give you in minutes. And that way you can get an idea what is the analysis we did, get it corroborated by us, authentic doctor that can help you recover faster. And in any medicine, the more faster you diagnose, the better it is for any patient and any industry. So this is something what they are working on, and they are getting huge funding, huge grants are coming. But in India, generally, we don't have that enough budget of the government to give grants. But here and outside other parts of the developed countries, they have enough funds available. So that's why they can give. So he did enough development in this research. They had offices in across many parts of the world. They sell in 100 countries. Similar to like Sun Pharma, they sell in 100 plus countries. They were drivers global patient base. They worked on integrated supply chain and global distribution network. Now, supply chain is very, very important. Let's say if I'm not well and I doctor advised me a particular prescription, and if that prescription is not available, can I can I wait? If the customer if the my shopkeeper says this will come after 10 days, 15 days, will I be accepting that or switch to new medicine? It is not like your commercial product where you went to go for buy an iPhone and the pink color is not available. So you will say, no, no, I'll come after 15 days to get the new color, or the golden case is not available. You'll say, I'll buy later. It's not you're going to buy a shirt and your XL is not available, and you'll say the next will come in 7 days. You can come 7 days later. This is a medicine, life and death, and it has a peace. So I will always look for the relief immediately. And if I don't have a relief immediately, I will go for buying a alternate one. Because if your brand is not there, I'll go something similar to brand. There is always another salt available, another generic medicine available. That's why you need to have a thorough supply system where the minimum order quantity is maintained before the stock gets finished at the respective places. It gets fully filled up. That part need to be seen, and especially in a if your products are going outside country, you need to see the time it takes to cross the border checking, and that part need to be seen. You need to ensure that you always comply with all internationally regulated standards. For Europe FDA, for US FDAs, for Europe EMA, respective countries have their own standards that need to be followed. Now, coming to the latest topic of tariffs. Now, if Trump starts putting a tariff on medicines, what do you think? Will it impact the? Does it impact the? Does it impact the exporters? It will have a huge impact. And if he says I'll put 30% tariff, then the costing impact comes on more. So people will do what? People will go for alternate. Any idea how much tariff they imposed on pharma? Any idea? Anyone has an idea? So let's say Sun Pharma has a product in India and they want to export to US. Any vague idea how much is 100%? They say 100% tariff on branded and patented pharmaceutical products. So 100% is almost your cost is double. So that becomes a huge, huge cost. So which he has put from last October 2025. There are a lot of talks going on, and that's why you see, the pharma sector went down last few months because of this huge. And interestingly, if the US supply is of 100% US needs medicines, 40% of the generic US medicines are supplied by India, which are patented. And that's why in EU, US pharma is 15%. But if you say in India manufactured, patented, branded, it will be 100%. So this is a war game. This is a war game between it's a diplomatic game between the governments, and every government will try to push other government for certain other benefits. So this part we need to ensure that when we are working, I need to have markets not only in one sector. I need to have multiple sectors open, multiple countries open, because with one change in law, my entire profitability goes for toss. Now I cannot increase my prices as double as quickly. Market will not absorb the prices. So they were the fourth largest company globally. First in India, they have a leading presence in complex, high-value therapeutic areas. Key contributor to India's global pharma exports. They have formulations. So first is always formulations, and then we go for APIs. Once we go for, so first we always make a product, and then we go for API. What is formulations? Formulation is something which actually clears the disease. That will be a formulation. Then what is API? Something which I make a product. Something which I make a product to give it to something which I make a product to give this medicine. So let's say I make a powder, or the powder would be a formulation. Now, how this powder will go into the body? It will be into by, let's say, by a capsule or by pills. How do you put it? That bit goes into it. So first we always try to make formulations, and formulation happens after significant R&D. After formulations, we got a patent. Then we go for manufacturing APIs. APIs are known as active pharmaceutical ingredients. It could be anything. How do you put in? Just let me take. Yeah, US India is 100%, and that is always happening, and this is a challenge for supply chain shift. Now, this R&D, as I mentioned, has to be consistent. Has to be consistent development, and your healthcare access should be sustainable and affordable. Affordability is something, it should not be so expensive that people are not willing to take it. Sustainability is, how are you drawing that product? Is it harming the nature? And then you need to always collaborate. Now, what are the ways to collaborate? The ways to collaborate could be very simple. Like how IT companies used to take their staff, they used to organize a hackathon or a IT events where they give some case studies to solve. They invite fest to people, IT fest. People come, take part, and they give selections. Similarly, how does pharma companies does? Pharma companies go to various colleges and they give them projects that, this is the idea, this is the area where you need to work on. People work on those and they try to get it sorted. Now, this company had a huge vision and they want to grow new places and they want to establish something in US. Their core strategy was to have specialty drugs. Specialty drugs is always, as it is saying that what is more important. Like if I want to sell, ideally I should, and if I have to sell a product, choose a product between two, which one should I pick? The multivitamin tablets I should make, or I should make painkillers? Which one you think, if I need to choose a product, if I need to get develop a medicine, should I focus on multivitamin tablets or painkillers? Abrami, your views? Abrami, what do you think I should take? Now I cannot say get an idea. Idea has been taken by Vodafone, but given a chance. So there is multivitamin tablets which gives energy, which gives you vitamins, and there is a painkiller. Nothing is right, nothing is wrong. But what do you think I should focus on? Given a choice I have, then I should go for painkillers. Why? Because multivitamin tablets are good to have, but painkillers are must to have. Do you think if I'm are in a pain, can I avoid painkiller, or I need to take that anyhow? I will take that anyhow. But if it is a multivitamin tablets, it will give me energy. It will give me good vitamin A, B, C. Can I postpone it? I can postpone it. I'll take it only when I really, really need it or I'm in a good mood. I'll take it. But painkiller, good or bad, I need to take it because I need to absolve the pain. So we need to focus on those medicines which have specialty drugs, which is highly in demand, And the challenge of these kind of businesses, it is high barriers, complex manufacturing. You need to have strong capability in formulation science and process innovation. Without formulation and innovation, that cannot work. Regulatory compliance is all the rock. And when we say regulatory compliance, we are not talking of balance sheet, P&L, and minutes and make index, and that's we're not talking. When we say regulatory, means mostly into health related compliances, because that's a very very significant. So they realize that they have a huge presence in India. They dominant branded presence in India market. In chronic therapy, they have the huge leadership. They tailored offering to meet India specific health. This was their current position. They wanted to go abroad. Their their therapeutic segment serves psychiatry, antibacterial, neurology, diabetes management. So generally, most of the customers, most of the patients would be either having a diabetes issue, neurology, or psychiatry due to mental wellness. These are the issues where you'll find a lot of people impacted by it. So they wanted to also develop a global infrastructure where they develop 43 facilities across 6 continents, and the reason is to ensure better supply chain management. So for each separate continents, they try to put separate factories so that there is no shortage and the delivery time could be reduced significantly and supply chain efficiency could be done. They ensure that quality standards should not be lowered ever, because in an industry like this, if quality standards are lower, then you will not sustain it a lot at all. Now, they put an assurance system. There has to be an audit mandatory. The assurance system is very, very important. When we say assurance, not only financial audit, it is qualitative audit also. You need to ensure that all standards which are required to be complied, ISO standards or any other standards are done. Whatever norms given by all regulatory bodies, which is the more stringent, has done. Even if I'm not sending, even if I'm not exporting to US, even if I'm not, still I should try to follow the standards of US, even though I'm selling only in domestic market. Any idea why should I follow global norms, even though I'm selling in US market, in domestic market? Why should we do that? Why should ideally any organization? One is contract manufacturing, okay. Second, when you start, let's say you are selling in India. Let's say you are always selling in India. Last 10 years you are selling in India, only domestic market. But no, Sanjay, that would be a far stretch imagination that if somebody uses my product in US, no. And I cannot imagine where my entire usage customer would be. But what is important to understand, if 10 years I'm selling in India and making a pattern India of production, and on the 11th year, I got a contract manufacturing or an assignment to ship to US, do you think my staff will be very easy to adapt to the change which the US norms would be requiring, or it would be very difficult for me to get those changes adopted? बिकॉज हम 10 साल से यही करते आ रहे हैं, तो वो आदत डिफिकल्ट है. इजी टू skip that or very very difficult? It is very very difficult to put a change, and that's why they say whatever controls, procedures, anything you want to do, get it now when you are young and small, because when you are young and small, you can train your mind, you can train your people to change, adapt that. But when you become big, when you become successful, 10 years you have ruled the market with a domestic product. And then if you ask somebody and say to someone that now change, very difficult the people to accept the change. Just so they were mainly making from entire formulation to API, they were making in-house. So they were making first raw material, first powder would be making. Then they are transferring it to some sister company to make this molecules, make this capsules. So from raw material to finished dosage forms, all in-house they're getting it done, but various entities in between, but all within the same umbrella. They are focusing on developing new areas because they realize that globally it will be needed a lot. So they wanted to explore this market. Their financial performance was doing very well. Their total revenue was coming $80 million, and they're having a lot of growth because of strategic R&D they are doing. Their Indian market leadership, they were top in dermatology. They had high ranking reputation among multiple doctors group. And how do you get success in any of the profession where the where the validators of the profession starts endorsing you? Remember, if you remember the advertisement of Colgate's when they started, who used to advertise? The doctors used to say that doctors ka hai number one brand. So do you really think that doctors would be actually using that, or they are just for advertisement purpose? When Colgate was selling this advertisement. But do you think that plays a strong in our subconscious mind? When you see someone wearing a white coat, giving authenticity, do we believe on white coats? We do believe on white coats, or we do anyone who is authority in that matter. And that's why validation gives the user, the third party, that something would be right. That's why the doctor is saying it. And that's why you need to always see your product may be good, but if not validated by right people, may not get that kind of value in the market. So they are the number one in that area. Then their future outlook was to develop global growth. And nowadays, if you see why everybody is looking for outside India growth, any idea why? When we say India has the longest, the one of the largest consumer base in the world, then still why people look for outside? Because I may have a quantity, but when it comes of pricing, quality, I may not have that. Because here I would like to go for the cheapest. But outside India or some in the developed countries, what is the vision? In the developed countries, the vision is I want the best. Now, for paying the best, I don't mind paying price. In India, there is also a segment of people who would be willing to pay the price for the best, but that would be a limited quantity. The majority people will go for give me the cheapest one. Do we agree that if I need to buy a medicine, I will still see on Blinkit or Zomato or whichever 2, 3 apps and see where I'm getting cheapest? And it's our the way we are born and brought up, the way we have seen the way India from getting colonized to getting developed or still in the state of developing, we see how the money matters. But globally, people who are born with silver spoon, global other parts of the world, they see the highest price and they are okay with that. So they wanted to see global growth because when the dollar income is there, it is a huge impact. And I'm sure you have seen nowadays last 2, 3 years, it is last 5 years from where dollar has gone and where it has made an impact. The dollar was earlier 60 rupees, now trading at 98 times. So it's a significant jump in dollar, and that's why businessman looks for abroad. So they're looking for farm value chain components, the research, developing molecules. Any idea to develop a molecules? How much time? How much experiment I need to do approximately? Let's say 1 in 10, 1 in 100. Any vague idea? If I want to develop a molecule of, let's say, cleaning, uh, erasing tooth pain, I need to develop a medicine for that. It is one in at least 1,000, at least 1,000, 10,000, at least 10,000 you try, at least 10,000 you try, then one probability of getting a clarity on that molecule. And then, so that is the research part, where you start with research part. Then you go for preclinical and clinical trials. And then once it gets approved, then going for regulatory approval, manufacturing and distribution. The moment you get approval here, from here starts the big capex process, setting up a plant and everything. You'll be. We did one assignment of one of the pharma companies 3 years back. Uh, it was related to Pfizer. So Pfizer has a CDMOs in India. They have CDMOs in Philippines. So what the Pfizer do? Pfizer will, so let's say I develop some unique medicine. CDMO is contract development manufacturing. So we do, we develop we develop, I'll do a research, and based on my research, when I develop something, I will say that uh, I will do entire from early stage formulation to clinical trials to set up to final commercial. So CDMO is contract development and manufacturing organization. So what does they do? They will do from end to end development from your product. So I will develop something, but because if I develop something, I will not have any brand name. And to create a brand name, it will take years. So what I will do is I will tell Pfizer that I'll give you my know and how. I will develop everything for you. You give me royalty, you give me service fees for doing this. So I will give them a budget that to set up of this, it is the cost, they will pay this cost to me. That way we will that way we will earn money in CDMO. And that's why they will ensure that when you do a molecule testing, it is a huge attrition rate. It takes long to approve it. And it is also capital intensive. You need to have a lot of cost to be recovered. And initially shareholders will be jittery to give this kind of money initially. See, once you're established, once you are successful, you are making a lot of money in your pocket, the shareholder don't mind paying you. But when you're starting, shareholder may or may not like to give you. Just so their approach is, let us do a collaborative research with universities and academic partners. This way they will get a lot of this way they will get a lot of this way they will get uh, lot of brains and lot of ideas and lot of research paper with a very least cost. They thought to put a center of excellence where they make clinical excellence and do a regulatory navigation. And collaborative research, how does it helps in real life? How does it helps in real life? Now, if I can I appoint employees to do research? Will that be expensive or economical? I'm a pharma company. If I employ, what do I do? It will be expensive or nominal. If I employ people to do research, it will be expensive. So what does they do all? What does they do all? Many companies, what does they do? They will go to IIT Jodhpur. They will go to AIMS hospital, AIMS college. They will go to all health college or doctors college, medical colleges. What these pharma company will go and do? They will give a project, the professor a, a research area that we want you to research on, let's say, tuberculosis, TB. So they will give a research to a TB and they will give a fund to the professor that, okay, we allot you 5 lakh rupees for this research fund. You can buy books, you can buy other things, and this you can buy. Now, what does the professor, will the professor have a good bandwidth of students, first year, second year, third year, who are studying medical, who are studying doctorate? They will have it. Can we give them a project that, okay, you focus on this medicine and give me a result on this, you do some clinical experiment on this and give me a result? And that's what they all do. And because I know, because we deal in a lot of startups, and I know certain doctors have developed certain startups, and we used to ask, how did you get this? He said, I have a lot of students with me in our college and they all are excited to do some experiments. So we give them tasks, and anyone gets successful, then we work accordingly and then we develop that part. So that way they need to engage with academician partners and college institutes who are into that same domain. He had a patent, and patent he used to have a patent who allows to get access to uh, exclusive market, but this patent is going to expire. One patent is going to expire. So if you do not renew the patents, there will not be a potential profits. So it is always better to remove, because once the patent gets over, if my patent get expire and I don't get it renewed, generic manufacturers enter the market. And when they enter into the market, and then it will become a open market, then my market share will drop down. Though initially I was always in affordable generics, but now once you have a patent, then it will be a little bit changed. The impact of generic medicine is always the production cost becomes lower, because I don't need to research an investment, because it is already a approved medicine, approved formula. Somebody has already tried earlier. Pricing becomes very affordable. It is not expensive. That's why it is generic. The Because of market competitions, price reduces. People start taking it. If you make something free or something very nominal, then people start taking. Let's say for example, we have uh, a fish oil. You have a oil in a grease in your knees. The moment people become older, their knees have an issue with knee joints. If because of the fish oil or the vitamin is lacking in their body, if we made the medicines very cheap that anybody can afford it, then people will start taking with the positive things. But if you make it very expensive, then people will avoid taking medicines. Most of the people avoid taking medicines till it becomes too necessary. They avoid going to hospital till it is very necessary. But if you make it cheap, so do we all agree that we would not like to go to the hospital until unless we feel it is very critical? Whatever little bit pain or whatever little bit nausea we have, we try to handle it ourselves and would not like to go to a medical professional. So I was into Middle East for 10 years. I stayed in Bahrain for 10 years. My local colleagues there, if somebody sneezes twice and thrice, okay, if somebody sneezes only twice and thrice, we'll get an application. I need to go to the doctor. I need to check it out. And we were laughing, as we Indian diaspora, we Indian colleagues used to say, in teen chi gainian is going to doctor. And then we realized that, everything is free there. And so if everything is free and I got a best care medicine, then why should not I go? Will you also have the same mindset? Think if everything is free, will you also go to, and the hospitals are, and I'm talking government hospitals are like five-star hospitals, absolutely clean, where you feel like you're coming into a hotel. It's not, it does not give you a look of hospital. Entire cleanliness is there. Then you will not like to take a chance. The moment you get something headache, something all, you'll say, okay, go doctor, give me a medicine, check it. Because of the affordability, because it is free, it's your right. When something is my right, when you know it is free for me, do you think I will leave it? I will not. Because I know it's my right. When something is your right, you'll always like to extract your right. So that's they wanted to put in cheap so that people have wider drug availability. Now, one of their patent, which is very famous patent, RIF-MM, is about to get expired, and this patent is for treating TBs. This has to be successful patent. Once the patent gets over, general medicines will come. So they wanted to avoid this. This was expiry is approaching. So they know that if it is expired, I will have a lot of competitors who will come and take it. Now they need to reevaluate pricing strategy. That what if my patent does not expire, gets expired, then at what price I will sell? I cannot sell my product at the same price with patent without patent. Because if I'm selling with patent, I can sell it X plus some high percentage. But if it is without patent, I need to ensure the pricing band of generic alternatives. So if I if I remove 4 rupees in my every if I make a removal of 4 rupees, my demand will increase 8,000 per batch, because of non-generic. If I reduce without patent, the maximum demand can be increases of 1 million. That's the maximum I can go. Now cost structure is, if I make salt X, it 367 grams, it will cost me 29.40. If I make salt Y, it will cost me 120 rupees based on my costing part. My total direct cost is 150. Then I will merge salt X and salt Y and make it one molecule. My focus is to optimize contribution, balance demand and growth versus profitability. I need to consider economies scale post patent. So we need to consider, if I get an approval, if I don't get an approval, I need to factor both. Assuming I will not get an approval, assuming my life expires, then I need to consider for without patent. The costing for batch level costing for RFM is, my direct material is 150, salt is 29 and 120. That's almost 150. It takes 30 minutes to produce it. So 40 an hour, so 20 rupees for the machines. Labor is 38 and fixed overheads is 35 based on 3 lakh batches. So these are called sunk costs. It has to be incurred always. Workforce shift due to high impact antiviral drug for viral disease. My labor has to be fully outsourced because of another drugs we are making. Antiviral is a new patented drug which we are trying to work out. It is a life-saving potential. I'm not shifting my resources to RFM. A pricing decision has to be taken. When I need to take pricing decision, I need to factor what would be the pricing competition post patent expiry, how much I need to depend on labor. Now, the biggest part of CDMO or this labor is, if I give a contract, let's say I am Sun Pharma and I gave a contract to someone to manufacture one, let's say take example of Dolo. I told somebody to manufacture Dolo and he told me that I will give you one strip of Dolo at 2 rupees manufacturing. This is my cost, end-to-end cost to you. You go and sell it 10 rupees. I'll take 2 rupees for manufacturing. That's what he is doing. Now, what is the biggest risk in this? The biggest risk is, once you once you did a once your product gets successful, will he not come after seeing the success that now from 2 rupees I'll charge 3 rupees, eventually I'll charge 4 rupees? Yes, no, maybe. That's the biggest risk, because if they start increasing your price, you cannot increase the selling price based on my demands immediately. So whenever something is an outsourced or someone is giving a contract manufacturing, the pricing clause has to be a very strict clause. We need to ensure, and maybe he'll start manufacturing himself, absolutely. So we need to ensure that when you're doing a pricing clause, you ensure that it does not cover absurd thing. It includes uh, it includes it ensures that he does not have a right to increase price unnecessarily. This is a challenge which a lot of people have faced. He's having a developing a new project. In this project, he's getting a government grant. Now, this government grant is getting for 80 crore rupees for R&D for a low cost vaccine. Existing vaccines are very high cost, so people do not take that accessibility. So he wants to take it to lower cost vaccine. The government is willing to support that because that's a government project to take it. Produce this, the government grant condition is, you must develop a cost reduced manufacturing process. 40% of the production cost should be reduced in 2 years. Now, this grant which I have received, can I directly charge to P&L, or I need to park it as in a liability part? The grant is based on conditions attached. So I have a condition that if I do not fulfill this, I need to return the money. So can I book it as income? So I need to defer the grant till the probability of completing the conditions is ensured. You just cannot put into the income because you got a grant. If it is a condition attached, which is mandatory condition, then it is to be deferred. So they understand that if they make this affordable medicines, my credibility becomes very high, my production will increase, and I'll be able to have social impact across the globe. Their chain formulation is supply chain management formula is I supply a drug intermediate to its own formulation unit in other state. So let's say I'm based in Jaipur and I develop the molecule here. But to develop the molecule, I need to go and there's a separate factory which I put it. That factory I put in the factory I put it in the I have put a factory in Delhi. Now I'm developing something which nobody in India has that because that's a patented product to me. So I'm developing a raw material which will be getting WIP in Delhi. This this molecule which I am transferring to my another unit, another company, similar unit in Delhi is unique to the company. Nobody else will buy this intermediate product from me in India. This because this could be only used for my company, my drug manufacturing. There are no comparable exist, no substitute exists for this. So you cannot have anything which is similar to this, equivalent to this. Now, if I'm transferring this to Delhi, how much GST impact should I pay on this? How to determine the price? On what value GST should be charged? Any thoughts? I am developing a special item which can be only used from Jaipur to Delhi. I am shifting a product from Jaipur to Delhi. That product will be used for making and manufacturing. Okay. What will be the price? On what price GST should be charged? What is the price I should charge? Because the costing part, I know what is the cost, right? The cost part, I know what I need to, because whatever I need to develop that product, that's a costing. But I'm transferring to my another unit, another company. That company will do the final mixing of the product and make the product. So shall I transfer at cost? What does the GST valuation rule says? Avirami, your view? Can I transfer it at cost or there is a valuation rules in GST? So Sanjay, that was a challenge. There is no comparable in it.
If nothing is there, Rule 30, the company should apply Rule 30 or Rule 31. So the most appropriate, I think it is cost plus profit, 10% of the profit on my production or
Correct.
Rule
Absolutely right.
31.
Absolutely right. So I need to go for Rule 30 under valuation. There is a section 30 in GST Act that says if there is no comparable price, I cannot ascertain the price, then I need to go at 110%. So whatever is the cost coming, I'll assume 110% is the sale value, and based on that, I will charge that GST. Accordingly, it will work out. So this is a very exceptional scenario where you have no comparable. Normally, we understand there will be comparable, but because this product is something which cannot be used as any alternative, any substitute, so that's why we need to take it. So from that intermediate, then it gets converted into finished formulation, then finished product is sold by the same unit. So this structure ensures quality, that you have a quality, that final product is going from your end, consistency in formulation and compliance, and from one's ultimate place you sell all. That way you ensure logistics. Now they wanted to demerge one division to US office. Now mergers can be done, amalgamations are done, or demergers are done. So what happens in a demerger? In a demerger, what happens? You shift. So demerger, what happens? You are a company, let's say ABC Limited, you are a company. In ABC Limited, you have a division C. You think that division C does not fit into ABC, it has to be moved to another company, another entity for a better understanding, for a better running of the business, it would be better. Let's say for example, I am having a hotel industry. I am having a fast food and FMCG company, and I am having a cigarette division. Any issue in this you find, or it's both fine? Any issue you see in this? I am a I am a hotel industry. I am a FMCG, and I am a cigarette production company. Any idea which company I'm talking? Which company I'm talking? ITC we are talking, right? So it is a ITC. So ITC is a hotel, it's a FMCG and a cigarette. What is the problem with cigarette? Why ITC shareholders do not want cigarette to be in this division, in this company? They say put cigarette division, demerge the cigarette division into any other company. Any idea why? Because smoking is injurious to health. Okay. Now, because of having a cigarette division, what is the problem with ITC? What is the harm to ITC because of having a cigarette division? Any quick thoughts? What's the harm of having a cigarette division in ITC? No, no, taxes part. Do you really think taxes part I am bothered? Because when you are willing to buy at a higher price cigarette, nothing goes from my pocket. Nothing. Does it get a positive sign from a regulator for ESG compliances? Is it sustainable environment you are doing good, or you are doing harm to environment? You are doing harm to environment. Many funds do not invest in ITC only because they have a company, they have a product which is producing tobacco and harm to the environment. That's why, because of this, a lot of big funds do not become the institutional investors of ITC, and therefore they are asking for demerger. That's a theory. Now, when I want to demerge, what it means, I can shift my assets from one company and transfer to another. So normally, when I do merging, I merge company A and company B and make into, I can do a company AB together, or B goes into A, merging is done. So that's a merger. Demerger is when I split. When I split in a demerger, like ABC company has assets and liabilities of certain cigarette division, I make a new company, XYZ company, and transfer there. When I do a practically when I do a demerger, what I will give to, so there is a company ABC Limited. I am taking division C out, cigarette assets out, and putting into the new company XYZ Limited. What will XYZ give to ABC Limited against this deal? Any idea? Any idea what will XYZ will give to ABC Limited company against this deal? Imagine 10 crores is the value of the assets of cigarette division in ABC Limited. This 10 crore moves from ABC company to XYZ Limited. This equity will be given to whom? Equity will be given to ABC company or ABC company shareholders. So what will go into ABC company? How will you see the asset of 10 crores have went out? So what should I do? Shall I book a loss for that? Will there be a loss in my balance sheet that year? In the ABC company, will I put into general reserve loss? Yes, no, maybe. Correct, Ayush, your point is correct. We'll discuss to that point. I'll take you through that. But first, you tell me 10 crore rupees have been moved out, gone into division C, company XYZ. XYZ company will issue shares to, it will issue shares to the equity shareholders of ABC. So nothing will come in the balance sheet of ABC. In fact, what will happen? It will be reduced from general reserve. So if I have no reserve, I need to book a loss. So there will be a loss in my reserves. My reserves will go down. So in a demerger, what we do? In a demerger, we reduce it from general reserve or capital reserve. I will reduce from general reserve. Will reduce from there. Okay. Now, do I need to get a valuation done? Do I need to get a valuation done? So primarily, we need to get a valuation done. When you are transferring assets to another company, you need to get a valuation done. Only in one case, we don't need to do a valuation. And that is, what is the case where you need to book a valuation done? Which is a scenario where you don't need a valuation done? What do you think? In which scenario? When we have a mirror shareholding, when we have both the shareholders, both the companies, same category of shareholders, same percentage of shareholders, exactly mirror shareholding, then we need to don't get the valuation done. So the loss will be booked under capital reserve, and then it will be the loss to the company. It will always show loss to the company, but the shareholders will take the case. So as you said, the asset belong to the company, asset belong to the company, but the company belongs to whom? Company belongs to shareholder. So instead of paying to the company, I'm directly paying to the shareholder. So in a way, it is actually no loss. Are you sure getting the in principle? I take 10 crore rupees from company ABC. I pay 10 crores to ABC shareholders. In a nutshell, answer same. Okay. So what they thought, so what they thought, so what they thought, let us demerge one of the one of the assets, one of the undertakings to foreign subsidiaries. They want to transfer that. They applied NCLT application for demerger, but they stopped. Any idea why NCLT rejected? Why NCLT rejected for demerger to cross-border demerger? Can I do? So they wanted to shift to new country assets. Why did they stop? Why did the NCLT rejected? Can I do cross-border amalgamation, cross-border merger? Tomorrow, if Sun Pharma wants to buy, tomorrow if Sun Pharma wants to buy Pfizer, can we buy? No, we can buy because amalgamation merger is permitted. I can go and buy a foreign company. There is no dispute in buying the foreign company. I can buy that. So law permits me to amalgamate. Law permits me to merge these foreign entities. That is permitted. So cross-border merger is permitted. I can do just like uh, just like Tata's acquired Jaguar, right? So that is permitted. But this section do not permit demerger. This section do not permit that I can transfer my Indian assets to foreign company. Any idea why I cannot transfer why demerger is not permitted? Buying and selling is permitted, merger acquisition is permitted, demerger is not permitted. Why demerger is not permitted? Because the government was of the view, once I transfer assets out of India, how easy is to get back if shareholders become too notorious? Very difficult to control the asset that goes out of India. So that's why they say demerger rule has to be stopped. We will not allow any demerger of assets going outside India. M&A can be done. I can make a new investment in your country, that is permitted, but demerging is not permitted. I cannot split my assets and give to you. That's not permitted. And that's why this demerger application got rejected. Now, this was the regulatory this was an issue that they did not were not able to do a cross-border restructuring. So they thought, let us try alternative restructuring industries strategies. There are two companies in Indu Pharma Limited, which is an in-house R&D company. It do not had any customers, no revenue, no customer contracts, but they developed patents over certain IPRs. They have a approved regulatory production plant. They can put it tomorrow if they want. Then we have another company, Birach Life Sciences Limited, incurred significant research costs for new drugs. Regulatory approval received, and another is awaiting approval for 2 years. Revenue potential was a key acquisition driver. That's why they acquired these two companies. Now, when I acquired these two companies, I will be taking their intellectual portfolio, regulatory assets, acquiring, giving me a chance to launching future products. My R&D capabilities are increased. Will this will be called as a business acquisition or asset acquisition? When I when I'm buying Indu Pharma, which has not have any customer, not have any revenue, but has only intellectual properties, what do you think? Will it be called as a asset or as a business? Because what is the difference between these two as per Ind AS 103? If it is a asset acquisition, it will be simple buy and sell. But if it is a business acquisition, I need to go through goodwill and 103 requirements. Now, what is a business? Does business means you need to have customers, or business means you need to have process, input and output process you need to have? Okay, let's take an example. Uh, let's say Reliance got a license of 5G. Reliance got a license of 5G, and they got a license to 5G. Only Reliance has it. Now, if I buy this license, and if anybody wants to set up a Wi-Fi in India, need to have a 5G license. Reliance got the license from government. Now, if I buy that license from Reliance, am I buying asset or am I buying business? What do you think? Now go back to Ind AS 103 and you will see it will be a business combination. Even though it is a single asset I am buying, even it is a single asset. But is the asset enabler asset or it is a standard asset? It is an enabler asset. If you don't have this, can you run a business? If you don't have this, you can't. So this is a greenfield business. Without this, you cannot work out. Therefore, so I'll give you an example of Where anybody would be from Mumbai would know earlier the electricity used to be exactly like hiring a CNS, absolutely. The very, very good example. Earlier, if you remember in Mumbai, from from Santa Cruz to from Bandra to Borivali, Reliance used to give a electricity. Anil Ambani company used to they used to collect electricity dues. So what they had is the government have given the authority to collect electricity dues, but then they only have the license, transmission license. They put the manufacturing facility, they have a transmission license with them. But when they got into trouble and they were not able to pay dues and all, Adani took that over. So Adani Transmission took that over. Now, when the Adani Transmission took that over, the auditors were of the view that this is a business you have bought. But what the management was saying, we only bought the transmission license. That's a intangible asset. We bought it from Reliance. So it should be a asset acquisition. But the auditors were of the strong view that with this intangible asset, you can do entire business. The customer will only come to you, pay bill to you because you have that power generating license, and therefore it is considered as a business acquisition. Similarly, in this case, there is no output, but is there a process setup? Do I have a R&D approved? I do have a R&D approved. Do I got a plant approval from regulator to operate? I got a plant approval. So the moment I wish, I can start the process and get the output produced the moment I want. So I have the everything available with me, and therefore they started this. They consider this as a business acquisition, even though you don't have a customer as of now, but this is acquisition. They wanted to this acquisition to ensure that integration of R&D, your commercially approved drugs, regulatory submissions, and future opportunities because of future APIs. And that's why pharma, whenever somebody buys pharma companies, they see how many applications are pending. If you have applications pending, it still has a value, even if not approved. So they have a subsidiary in UK, and I need to receive 14 crores from the subsidiary. They operates in December. So in a UK, the calendar year is January to December. In India, we follow April to March. Now, if I follow April to March and I need to consolidate March financials, UK March financial is not available. So what should I do? Ignore it, put it at cost, or I need to consolidate, assuming it is my subsidiary. The financials of March is not ready. Then what should I do, Abhirami? I can't get it prepared also. Maybe preparing March financial will take long time. I don't have the data, bandwidth. And if because I have a December financial available, can we go on December financial and give a note accordingly that 3 months timeline does allows? So I can go on December financials and give a note. Some places it is very difficult to make financials at some places. At some places they can make financial as and when you want. If you ever get any client which is in Israel, Germany, you won't get data easily. And that's why you need to mention an audit paragraph in consolidation. We have taken this balance as on 31st December. Company is not given provided. Because if company is not giving, difficult. Now imagine banking companies. The banking companies which are 31st year end is 31st March, right? If they have investments in abroad, if they would have investments in abroad, do you think they can make also in 31st March and give you in 7 days, 10 days time? When does bank audit get finishes? Generally, bank audit get finishes in 10th, 12th April, 13th April. That's what maximum they finish in branches audit. That's a central audit, central. But all branches audit finished by 20th maximum 20th April max. Anybody who would have gone to bank audits would know the pressure they got in finishing 4 5 days. So even if I finish in March, let's say May, can we give a subsidiary financials in May ready? Probably no. It was very difficult globally to get this done. So that's why they give it a time limit of 3 months. But just you cannot say I am not getting anything, so I will not merge it. And if I am having 14 million outstanding, ideally within how many period I should get my money in India? Ideally, ideally from the date of my exports, within how many period I should get my money in India? Any thoughts? Maximum 30 days. Don't you think it's too stretched? So ideally within 6 months, the bank will start following up. Why the money has not come, ideally within 6 months. But we get a timeline up to 1 year easily. Up to 1 year, we can easily wait. More than 1 year, the moment more than 1 year happens, then RBI starts following up. The bank, RBI follows the bank that why the proceeds have not come, and the bank need to give details. The bank will chase the customer that why your money is not coming in, because it might happen that can it happen that I might shift my goods to abroad, I sell to my friend and do not get money in India, and I tell myself I am bankrupt. That can also happen, right? So that's why the government ensures that money in export comes very well. Even if it is a subsidiary, can I leave my money and say it is my subsidiary, no need, or it has to come in India? What is your view? Can I say it is my subsidiary, let it be, I invoice my subsidiary, it has to come in India within due dates. So that has to ensure. So management identified a non-compliance with FEMA that our money has not come more than 1 year. So action plan is initiated to rectify this issue. Management expects no penalty, but acknowledges if penalty arises, it's a material impact on company. Auditors involved a regulatory expert and concurred with management position that okay, they expect no penalty, but if penalty arises, it's a huge impact on us. Now, the consolidation was not done of subsidiary because year end was different. So that's why they said it is unfair to record December and March. So ignored. We made a disclosure that since we have not complied, we do not have different financials. We are not have any consolidation. That's we disclosed. FEMA compliance is monitored. Financial statements for consolidation need to be evaluated. Audit trail for intercompany balances need to ensure. Now we'll take the questions which we have probably discussed in detail earlier. How to determine the value of supply of the drugs intermediate in GST law. So as we have already discussed, it should be under regulation 30. It should be cost plus 10%. That's a bare minimum that should be done as per regulation where you have no comparable. If you have comparable, then comparable price will go ahead. That part will check this question, how to ensure how much price. Why was demerge scheme disapproved? The demerger scheme was disapproved only because, as I mentioned, under Companies Act, I can do a cross-border M&A that is permitted, but cross-border demerger has totally been prohibited. the government intend not to the government intend to avoid any implications. Research cannot be recognized as an intangible asset. Only the development can be recognized as an intangible asset in the pharma. India's 38 has given clean guidance on this. Even when the development has been done, when the research has been cleared and development has been started, it need to be ensured that development is done proper. That part also need to be seen. Now, what do you think fits the best answers? Out of these four options, which option makes sense to you best? Given Suraj Pharma's strategic positioning and recent developments, which statement describes the role of patent protection in gaining and maintaining competitive advantage in pharmaceutical industry? Which option you think makes sense more? So it has to be option B, because it will always help the company to have investment in new development for several years, and that's what is very important. How you can make money over the period. How should I recognize the grant where it has given me for a period of 2 years to ensure that I reduce my production, and I have a reasonable assurance that I will be able to meet those grants? Shall I not recognize immediately if I have a reasonable assurance that I will meet the stipulated condition? Does option A does not make sense? Why are we going for option B? Because the period given in this is that within 2 years I need to demonstrate reduction. So mandatory I need to go for 2 years. So deferment has to be done mandatory. Correct. This part we discussed that Indu Pharma, shall it be, where do you think it should fit in? So though it does not have a contract, does not generate revenue, it has only R&D, but but because because it has the necessary resources to produce drugs, the business model is there, business plan can be activated anytime because it has everything which is required to run a pharma company. So I have workforce, I have patents, I have plants, I have IPS, so it is sufficient for to run any organization. How do you think editors would have handled the matter related to FEMA non-compliances? So it is option C, where the auditors need to include a notification in the report because the impact of penalty levied could be material. Just give it. It will go to the correct answer is option B. The correct option is option B. Why? Any idea why it is option B? What does SA 250 says? Consideration of laws and regulation in audit of financial statement. What does it says? The auditor should obtain the understanding of the case, so which we obtained, right? He obtained the understanding of FEMA by hiring an expert. He should consider the risk of material misstatement that should be considered. They they also says require the auditor to communicate the deficiencies with those charged with governance. There has also been called. Does the law say somewhere communicate to regulator? Just like in case of any NBFC if fraud happens, you are asked to report to the RBI. Does law says if nothing is done to our FEMA report to RBI? Answer is no. Now, what is the impact of management responsibility under SA 250? To take corrective action. That's my job. Did we take a corrective action? We take a corrective action. I need to disclose the potential impact in the notes to financial statements. So did I noted I'm putting a impact in financial statement? If yes, then the answer becomes C. Because then I have ensured that I inform to the those charged with governance, and then I need to and the impact has been disclosed in the notes or notes. With this TCWG latest development, I'm sure you all would have been aware. On 7th January, what did NEFRA issued on TCWG? That now it is the duty of all auditors, of a listed company auditors, to determine who is TCWG, whom they are communicating, and did they inform them about the nitty-gritties of the audit, the key risks of the audit. That is, so now all listed companies, all auditors will be now giving a presentation to the TCWG. Now, this TCWG ideally should be audit committee or any specific audit committee board members. It cannot be management. If he has not included financial statements just because figures are different, is this view right or incorrect? So he has to consolidate mandatory. If not consolidated, it has to be qualified. Consolidation is mandatory. This is at the end of the part. Any quick question anybody has on pharma industry, or anyone has any view on taxability? Anything on understanding how the industry works is? Would you like to share your views? Anyone would have any experience on this industry? Else, yeah, scientific is a very good point. Correct, very good point in this. So many companies take benefit under scientific research under Section 35, because earlier there used to be a 1.5 times depreciation available on this. Earlier, if I did a research, earlier I did a research on it. If I used to do any research on, if I do any research on, if I do any research on any scientific, so if I spend 100, I used to get a benefit of, I used to get a benefit of, I used to get a benefit of 150 rupees. That used to be there used to be a uh, That used to be a lot of benefit to this, and that's why people were getting benefits and doing investments. So in case of expired medicines, whenever some medicine expires, so there are two things in expired medicines. One is one is impact wise on GST, and one is the environment. Okay. So whenever there is a expired medicine, you need to reverse the ITC by issuing a credit note. That is the financial impact part. Do I need to destroy the medicines, or I can just throw them in a garbage? What should I do? Whose responsibility? So I need to, this is need to be credit note. I need to issue a credit note. I'll not issue a sales invoice. I'll issue a credit note. It is mandatory for the original manufacturer of the company to ensure the expiry products have been discarded safely. There is an audit. There is an audit every. There is an audit every. What do you call it? All all IT, all pharma companies get an audit done every 3 months for expiry, destroyed assets. So they destroy them in their process. Either they burn it, mostly they burn it. They put into the electric furnace and all to ensure it does not stay. Anybody have seen this kind done any kind of stock take of pharma and seen this kind of burning of audit medicines, expired medicine? But why he will take a why the distributor will take an invoice, sales invoice? If you treat it as a supply, so the core principle is, what is the core principle ultimately? The the person who has returned, the person who has sell it, there he has already taken an ITC on it. He's already taken ITC on it. So he need to reverse it, because you cannot take the benefit of ITC on expired medicine. That benefit cannot be taken, because you can, a lot of people have misused. Similar, like an example of you sell a product on online. Okay. When you sell a product on online, Amazon sells a iPhone online, they paid GST, and then phone gets damaged, right? So the damaged phone comes back, and then you reverse that GST. But then the supplier, the warehouse keeper sent to somebody, sells to someone. So there's a misuse of GST on cancellations, on damaged products. So that needs to be insured. So it has to be ITC, you will not get the benefit of ITC on it. It needs to be reversed. Okay. And there is a lot of disputes on when I sell 10 strips, do I give 11 strip free? Do we have a scheme like this? Buy 10, 2 will be free in farmers, in a manufacturing B2B. They don't give to B2C, B2B. In B2B, they give that, quantity discount. If you buy 100 boxes, I'll give you 110. That gives to, that's a given to. So it's not free. Nothing is free here. It's just an impact. There is a circular of there is a circular issued on GST also, on expired medicines also, and only for expiry medicines, issued in October 28 by department. Then they have given how it should be handled. should be treated as a fresh supply, because when is the return happening? So should it be treated as fresh supply or expiry issuing credit notes? So then they prefer it as issuing credit notes. That is advisable. So they've given a detailed view, which view should be taken. Just check October 18 note on this. So are we good to conclude today session? If you have any questions on IBS exams, then Deepak ji can answer much better. Else we can conclude. Thank you all for your patient listening. Deepak ji, if you like to address something, we can take, else we'll conclude.
सर दीपक सर अवेलेबल नहीं है।
अच्छा ठीक है सर, तो फिर अभी हम कंक्लूड कर देते हैं।
ओके ओके अशोक जी।
हाँ
यस सर।
सर।
गुड नाइट।